Yo, welcome to the lounge. It's the Attitude Lounge where the vibe is strong. You can't go wrong. Tune in, sit back, let the good vibes flow. The Attitude Lounge is the place.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany Castillo. I'm the owner of the Cozy Corner Counseling, and I'm also a licensed professional counselor. And today we're going to be talking about healthy relationships and boundaries.
Tiffany, thank you. Thank you for being in the Attitude Lounge.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
I'm super excited because, as I told you before, I have been just wanting to get a therapist here to talk about life and, many aspects of life, but in particularly, dealing with boundaries, because I think that's something that we all need. I know, like, from my personal experience. It was something that I knew it existed. I thought I had them down until, I felt people were disrespecting me and I was allowing it actually.
Yeah.
And then I realized through therapy that I had to go and, start like laying them out and what are my boundaries? What do they look like? How can I apply them to my life?
Absolutely.
So I'm super excited because you're the expert in this field. I just talk about stuff that happens to me or things that I read. And so I just thought that this would be a really great topic for people, out there who are watching or listening to, maybe this might be helpful for them at some point.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying all that. And I think you're right. Everyone kind of relates in terms of their experiences in making relationships and then also boundaries. And I think the most important thing that I talk with people about is how do you make a healthy relationship without abandoning yourself? And that can be really, really hard, especially when we've grown up not really understanding exactly what boundaries are.
Yeah, because it's not something you discuss. It's not a daily discussion from home. It's not something that I would probably say my parents knew.
Yeah.
To instill. I think I grew up in an environment where like my mom came from a large family, and so did my dad. But people would just stop by whenever.
Yeah.
There was no like, hey, are you home? Hey, can we stop by?
Right.
Kind of like what we do nowadays, right? It was like, oh, just I'm here. So if you weren't feeling well and you got company, you had to take care of the company.
Yes, no matter what.
Yeah,
You just weren't allowed to really say, like, if you were feeling a certain type of way.
right. Yeah, exactly. And I remember honestly just growing up and my mom, having to deal with some of those things. And I would say, I wouldn't understand it, right? Because in my mind, I would say, but mom, but they're your sisters. Why can't you like say something to them? Why can't you just say you're not feeling good? Oh, you can't be like that with family,
Yeah.
right?
And I think that's probably like the most missed opportunity because you don't build great connections with people that
Yeah.
way. Because if you're not able to set that boundary, how do you feel emotionally safe with them?
Yeah.
If you're always putting on a mask when really you want to say no to something.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, yes. You're like talking to my heart because a few years ago I had to go. I had to make a transition in my life, thinking it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
It's okay to say no, and that's a boundary. Not that you want to say no to everybody or everything in life, right? You're not going to run away and hide in your home. That's not good either. But to know like what your worth is, to know when you need peace, that it's okay to be like, hey, I can't do this right now. Can we do it on Tuesday? Can we do it next week?
Yeah.
So you're not saying no completely, but you're setting the tone by saying, hey, I'm okay doing this, just not right now.
Yes, the not right now is the most important part.
Yeah.
And I think people sometimes they get mixed up like if I set this boundary, I'm going to lose this relationship or I'm not going to make relationships, right? So I have to almost either bend myself over or like lean into whoever this person is to really connect with someone. And we get it, right? I've met people myself who I connect with instantly. And I'm like, this person is amazing. I want to get to know them. They're incredible. They're funny. And then we get to talking, we get a conversation, and I realize my values and the things that I align with, we really don't connect in that way. And in that moment, it's like, are you comfortable with disagreeing with someone and still being able to stay connected to yourself?
Right. Yeah. And I think that's difficult, and particularly like in friendships, you know, because I think sometimes those, you know, setting a boundary or saying no can be confused or confusing as of when should you be, you know, using that.
Ah, yes. I actually love this because I always talk about requests versus boundaries. So a lot of times I'll ask clients or I'll ask people, like, what is a boundary to you? And they'll say, well, I told my mom not to yell at me. And I say, okay, well, that's actually not a boundary. That's a request, right? So the boundary is what you're going to do, how you're going to follow through because the request was not met.
Beautiful.
So the boundary is, right, maybe you choose, I'm going to walk away from the conversation. I'm going to tell my mom, like, hey, I'm really going to walk away from this. When you calm down, please have a conversation with me later, right? Or you're going to choose to maybe sit through that conversation. I don't know what that looks like for you, but that is the actual boundary.
Yeah.
We can't choose what people decide to do. And when we try to do that, we move away from boundaries and actually enter in trying to control that person.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah, I can see like I can see how that could like yes, and I think people do that probably more often.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, including me. Like I just like was like right now like, whoa, like what do I, you know, because right, that's it's like how do you react? Do you walk away? Do you engage in like, hey, I didn't appreciate like, you know, what you said.
Yeah.
Or, you know, so then, you know, some people could be out there so-called putting boundaries, but they're not boundaries.
No, they're putting requests down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everyone can make a request. Right? I can say, my mom, please don't yell at me. And she could be like, well, I want you to listen to me no matter what. Now we're both making requests and neither of us are setting a boundary.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the boundary is like, I need to, you need to listen and you need to have some respect towards like what my feelings are.
Absolutely.
Right. And this is how come I feel communication is so important.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some people, you know, the way they communicate is by not communicating. Like they think that that's okay. Well, I'm going through some stuff. We're all going through stuff, you know. I always say even therapists are going through stuff.
Yes.
Everybody's going through stuff. It's, you know, life is hard. Lifing is hard.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes it's like, no, what you're doing is like you didn't set a boundary because I asked you to hang out and you don't want to hang out, or you're not calling me to hang out the way you used to. That's not a boundary. That's not, you know, protecting your peace. What you're doing in something like that is just kind of like just setting rules.
Yeah. Setting rules, or I think also trying to make the people around you be mind readers, right? So if it's like, I'm not going to reach out to this person, I'm going to wait for them to reach out to me, or we're not hanging out.
Yeah.
That person can't read your mind.
Yeah.
They don't know what's happening.
Nerve-wracking to read somebody's mind.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have to make the request first, and then the boundary follows.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen that happen. I mean, even to me, like where it's like, and even by educated people. I'm not even just talking about, you know, the average, full-blown educated individuals who decide this is how they're going to do it. And it's like, I just want some sort of like, can you tell me why? Like exactly, because I'm confused.
Yes, you're confused. And that part I think is more so when I was talking about the emotional safety piece.
Yeah.
Because that ends up being your protective mechanism, right? If I tell this person or I make this request, right, my feelings are going to get hurt, right? If I let myself be vulnerable and tell this person that what they did upset me, right, they may not accept that, or they may say something that feels even worse, or they may reject me.
Yeah.
And that's all a protective measure of what we learned as kids, right?
Yeah.
We need to protect ourselves. We need to keep ourselves safe. So maybe we don't make that request. We withdraw, we avoid, and we choose not to engage at all. And what we're really doing is we're kind of ruining the chance of developing a potentially really good relationship.
Yeah. Or ruining one that was good, but
Yeah.
because a person, you know, is not in a good place or not making the right decisions or confusing boundaries with requests, then you're like, like I myself sometimes like react, right? I'm like, all right, so you're not going to talk to me, I'm out,
Yes, absolutely. I've been there. I've done it. I'm like, all right, you want to play that game? I'll play that game too.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'll go do me.
Uh-huh.
But it's not to say that it doesn't hurt. It's not to say that it's like, oh, I wish it wasn't like that. I wish that we were having this conversation. But one thing I did learn, in the past few years, and this is situations that that I decided to, I know we didn't put the clock, but that's okay.
Oh, we're winging it.
that I'm that kind of communicator, and I think people find that very in your face, like,
Oh, more direct.
yes. I'm like, Tiff, like, let's talk.
Yeah.
And let's talk about this. Like, I've noticed that, you don't call me anymore. Like, and I know you're busy. I know you got a family. Like, I'm that kind of a person. I want that kind of communication.
Yeah.
But what I realize is not everybody wants that. Not everybody is willing or ready for it. So, like, I learned a few years ago, like, people say, oh, I want the truth. I want the truth. But then when you do say the truth, then it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. Now I'm going to come at you. Like, why did you say the truth? I'm like, because you said you wanted the truth.
Yeah. What do you get called, like, when you are being more direct? I'm assuming they don't say you're being very direct. They say something else.
I feel like you're aggressive. And for me, an aggressive person is like, I'm coming at you.
Yeah.
That's aggressive. Like, as I'm yelling at you, I'm walking towards you, right? Which is also a criminal act, but
Yes, it is.
but to me, I'm not, I may get loud because I think that's a normal thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes I hear myself getting loud and I'm like, listen, all I want is just some clarity because I'm not understanding this.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like I've had to let the person, like, I feel like the person's not going to give me what I need. So I have to let them be who they are until, like, it just blows up in the air and it's like, oh, okay, now we're good because, this person is good. I've noticed, like, some people won't admit to their wrongdoing, to their lack of communication, and I'm thinking people don't do that because they don't want to look in the mirror. They don't want to, they believe that they're a good person. And so if they admit to the fact that they're ghosting somebody, for example, that maybe that's going to make them less of a good person.
Yeah. Their own belief about themselves, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, even good people make mistakes.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's all natural, but I think these are the kind of things that we're dealing with in relationships.
Yeah.
And, it's difficult because not everybody is willing to take the right steps to move forward.
Yeah.
Or to apologize. Hey, man, I'm sorry. Like, I just I was pissed off last week and I shouldn't have, like, come at you that way or yelled.
Yeah.
Or, a lot of people just aren't willing to do that. And I trust me, my eyes have been wide open. I think it started 4 years ago where I was like
you were noticing it.
oh my God, yes. Well, I feel like, when I woke up and I was like, wait a second, I'm being, kind of shit on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I realized, like, oh, people aren't even going to apologize for what they've done or how they've treated people because in their mind, well, I didn't mean nothing by it. Or in their mind, I'm protecting my peace. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you get to ruin somebody else's.
Yeah. And I also think, because I know that you went to therapy and stuff, right? Like, that was part of your healing journey. And a lot of times, right, I think people get this idea that when we're going to therapy, when we're in our healing journey, that it's going to be like rainbows and butterflies and like the most beautiful thing. And it's not. It's very painful. And I tell people at a certain point, sometimes it can be really, really lonely. Because when you start to make those
Very
boundaries
lonely.
in the request, right, you start to notice that sometimes people don't like that. right? They don't like the new you that has come with setting boundaries, with letting people know, like, this is what I need, and making those requests. And so then you're kind of like stuck between, right? Do I lose myself again and go back? Or do I stay strong with who I am and choose to accept that I can only change myself, but not others?
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I'm just like, you're like saying this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. I love therapy, and I recommend it to everybody. Unfortunately, there are still these, like, uh, folks that treat it like if it's like a dark place to be in, and it's exactly the opposite. But yes, it is painful. Yes, it's lonely, but then you also realize when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you grow, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the whole idea. You're growing. Oftentimes we say we outgrew somebody, and it's because it's like, yeah, I no longer think that way. I'm no longer that person. And so I don't, connect with how you're
Yeah.
behaving or what you're saying, and it could be because that doesn't just serve me, or I don't agree with what you're doing,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was there, and, it was funny when you used to make fun of people, but now I'm like, I don't think that's funny,
Yeah.
like something as simple as that, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're a grown man. What are you doing making fun of somebody? Like, or
And we can't change that, right? But we can make the request like, hey, I don't care what you do in your free time, but when you're with me, like, please
Yeah.
let's not make these jokes.
yeah. And what happens is also people don't understand that either, right? So the stubbornness comes out, or who are you to
Yes.
tell me, I'm not going to change. Like, and oh my God, that's another one. That's another. I feel like that's a generational curse. People hearing, well, I'm here, I'm the same person, and I'm like, I'm
Yes.
sorry that you're the same person. I'm sorry, because we're meant to grow. We're meant to evolve and grow just as life changes. We
Yeah.
shouldn't be the same person.
Yeah.
And so I think people are comfortable saying that. And I'm talking about, like some of the older generation that thinks that that's okay. And I know that they don't mean it in I don't know, like in a bad way, I guess.
Yeah.
But they also don't realize that they are doing sometimes wrong.
Yeah.
Right? They don't allow other people to grow because of their patterns.
And it's also not safe, right? Like if we're talking about maybe a first generation Latinx in America, or someone who's an immigrant, right? And they're coming through there. They've had so many changes in their life that they need that consistency, right? It's the only thing they can control. So if I don't change, if I'm always the same person, I can at least control that. I can't control everything else that's changed.
Yeah.
And so when other people change, for them, it's very uncomfortable because they're used to this system in place.
Yes.
And so what we talk about is like, you're still functioning as if you're in that survival mode when you first came here, right? You're still in survival mode when the abuse or the trauma or whatever was happening to you, you're still stuck in that. And you haven't really been able to process all of that experience because your focus is on, I cannot change, right? I have to stay the same person who I am because that means I've made a difference. That means that I'm okay. That means I'm safe.
Right. Yeah. That's deep. Yeah. 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 I definitely have found when you do change that I lost people.
Yeah.
And I say lost them in the sense that I personally don't connect with them emotionally in the same way.
Yeah.
But I also feel that they also don't,
Connect back.
connect back at all. Like, you used to be different. Oh, and so it was, when you go through those changes, it's not only, that's kind of the lonely part that comes in, right? You had this circle, and now that circle, it's like scattered.
Right.
And now it's like, well, what do I do? Like, now you have to start rebuilding a new circle.
Yeah, which can feel really scary, right? Because you're like, man, I have to allow myself to make new connections and potentially something happens. And that's where the people who start to like push in, right? They start to avoid, they withdraw, they really struggle with making those connections because that protective factor is now in, right? I'm afraid of getting hurt.
Right, right. Yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah, you're looking at all those things. It's like, is this a safe person? Should I be honest with this person? Should I let them in my circle?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. Like all these emotions that go around. So it takes time. So you have mentioned, like, people think you're gonna come to therapy and it's all gonna be like, rose petals, and you're gonna walk out on a cloud every day,
Yeah.
and it's not. It's the opposite. And I personally, like, went through that, where it was extremely tough, and it was tough to the point that it was like, damn, like, when is this gonna
When does it get easier?
Yeah, when is it gonna get easy? And honestly, it was almost like that thing, like that switch went, and you're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I could do this.
Yeah.
Actually, I could do this. Oh wow, this is what peace feels like.
Yes.
Right? This is like, okay, I could do this.
Yeah.
Like, even like, like just noise, background noise, the phone ringing, people calling you and nagging, and about nothing. Honestly, about nonsense. And I'm like, now I'm like, my phone, I don't pick it up. I like my mornings, I still get up like if I was in the workforce.
Yeah.
And some people think I'm crazy, but I actually love to see the sun come up, and I love to listen to the birds, and drink my first cup of coffee super hot.
Yes, very super hot.
Super hot, and just be like, breathe in and be like, say to the universe, say to God, right? Whatever your faith is, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for this moment, and be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because there were times that I didn't have that.
Yes.
That peace, that feeling, of being grateful. But rather, I think when people are like in that, what is it, fight, flight mode, or
the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
and it's like you're just like, you're just, it's like bombs are coming at you, and you're like just trying to duck, and you don't know like how to end it. End those feelings, that nervousness, that unease, that you feel because people or events have caused trauma.
Yeah, they have. And I mean, it's not to say that you won't ever probably go into that default, right? When there's like a lot of stress, you'll default into one of those. But if it's consistently, right, sometimes you just forget that that's not what life is supposed to be like. Or maybe you never know what it was supposed to be like, because you didn't have that moment of peace.
Right. Yeah.
And your strength of, like, I think being direct, and I would say not aggressive but assertive, it's a huge strength. Yeah. Because you allow people to really see what they need to see, right? It's transparent. Yeah. And I think that's a huge value of yours, right? So when someone's not being transparent with you, you pick up on it really quick, right?
So quick. Yeah.
And you're just like, something's off. And vice versa, right? When you're too transparent and someone else does not have that same value, you guys don't mesh really well.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard to create those boundaries. And that's where kind of the requests come in, right? I'm not expecting you 100% to meet my request, but can we make a compromise?
Right.
And if we can't, am I willing to accept this friendship the way it is, that this person won't change? Or do I need to get something new? And do I close this chapter?
Right. Yeah. And like I said, sometimes you do have to make that decision. It's like, okay, let me give this person some grace. They're not, they're not looking in the mirror. I can't make them look in the mirror. Let's see, let me give it some time. Let's see if this changes.
Yeah.
Because you also have to, right? You also have to realize that not everybody heals at the same time. It's not like, therapy is not like a one size fit all.
Yeah.
Right. Some people take longer. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people could be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm good. I can take it from here, or, but, you have to be able to also, give grace and not jump, right?
Yeah.
Because if you value a friendship, you have to be able to say, okay, yes, this person hurt me. She's not communicating to me why, but maybe, she's going through some stuff. And maybe she didn't mean to hurt me.
Yeah.
Maybe she's not seeing it. Maybe he's not seeing it, not saying, of course, we're talking about, when you're invested in a relationship. I'm not saying when somebody's like really, truly disrespecting you or abusing
Yeah, or
you.
being abusive.
Yes. Yeah. That's a whole different thing. But yeah. And then there's times because, I'll say there might have been times that I wasn't maybe the friend that somebody needed me to be.
Yeah.
But that was because I wasn't even that friend to myself.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, how can I serve you when I didn't even know how to serve me?
Yeah, like that phrase, you can only meet someone where you're at with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. That's deep. What kind of boundaries, if we're going to set boundaries, what kind of boundaries do you think are important? Like just like, let's say, I don't know, top 5 or something like that.
Ooh, top 5. Well, I think probably the first place to start is where your values are, right? So if transparency is really important, so I know you had mentioned that, right? A request maybe is, hey, I really value honesty, right? If I ask you a question and you're uncomfortable with it and you don't want to share, I will take you telling me, I'm not comfortable with sharing that. Please don't ask me that again. Or can we change the subject? But don't lie to me, right? And then the boundary can be if the person does lie to you, right? Maybe it's a follow-up conversation where you are assertive and you are direct and like, hey, I noticed this happen. Can you help me understand, right? Or you can choose to say, hey, like knock it off, right? You can either be curious or you can be very direct.
Right.
Or you can decide that the lie was big enough that you no longer want to engage in the friendship, depending on what it is.
Yeah.
Or you're going to change that friendship, right? Maybe they're no longer in a friendship, they're acquaintance now.
Yeah.
And you're kind of moving them along your circles. But that would be the first step, is figuring out what you believe in, your values. And then from there, what are the requests that you're going to make in your friendships? Yeah. And you're not asking them to change, right? It's just, this is what I need in our relationship to move forward. And so let's compromise.
Right.
I know you may not be capable or have the capacity to always be honest or transparent. I'm okay with that. I don't need to know everything. But just lying's a big thing. Please don't lie to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these are the other ways that you can do that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, that's interesting to do. Would you say like one of the things I figured out, or I think I came across when doing that, was like, you know what? Maybe we need to revisit our boundaries every now and then.
Yeah, open communication.
Yeah, because we change.
Yes, we do.
And so same boundaries may not be the ones that need to be in place. Now then maybe they shifted.
Yeah. I think relationships are a living system, right? It's kind of almost like a person. So it requires that, right? You need to check in on each other. You need to maintain that, schedule things with each other, reevaluate, right? I always think of sometimes when you're working at a job and they do either maybe a quarterly or annual review on your performance. Now, obviously, we don't want it to be productivity and performance-wise.
Fill this out, please.
Yes, but we can take that and be like, hey, it's been a year of our friendship and I really think we should reflect on this, right? And see the ways that we've shown up for each other and the ways that we can do better.
Yeah.
How can we build this to be a friendship that moves in a positive direction?
Yeah.
Sometimes people are open to it, sometimes they're not.
Right.
And that's the part where the acceptance comes in. If the person's not willing to meet you where you are you okay with that?
Right.
Or are you going to make different choices?
Right. Right. And not just that, I would think like that also is applicable to marriage.
Absolutely.
To, parents, siblings.
All connections.
Yes. Yeah.
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 And it's hard too, because sometimes when you grow up in families, especially I would say maybe minority families, sometimes there is that hierarchical need, right? You need to respect your elders.
Yeah.
And so having that conversation can be super difficult, right? Like, I just imagine, like, if I had to tell my dad, and we've had these conversations, right? But like, if I was a teenager, I don't think I would have been able to approach him and been like, hey, dad, I need you to respect me, right? I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
My dad would probably been like, what do you think you are, right? Like,
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
this?
This is my house.
This is my house, right? Like, yeah. And my dad he was very traditional,
Yeah.
Hispanic male. Like, that was a thing, right? Like, he was the head of household.
Yeah.
And so having those conversations were not the safest.
Right.
When I got older, it was funny because as I'm older and I'm talking with him, he's like, well, why didn't you tell me all this when I was a kid? And it's interesting because sometimes people don't even realize the system that they're creating, right?
Right.
But I was able to have that conversation like, hey, when I was a kid, it was really hard for me to say the things that I felt or the things that I believed because I felt like I wasn't going to be respected.
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you mean? Of course I respect you. And that opened up the door to conversations.
Yeah.
But had I not chosen to speak that and assume that he could read my mind, we may never have repaired that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I felt as a kid that it was whatever my parents said. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have a say. Like, yes, I might say, no, I'll take the rice and the chicken, but I don't want the beans.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, as far as, going out, doing, anything, that it was like whatever they said. But I felt and I saw as my mom got older, she got softer.
Yes, they do get softer as they get older.
Yeah, so the things like she was more strict when I was young. It was like, let's boom boom boom. Like,
Yeah.
and as she when I became the adult and stuff like that, it was like, oh well, Addie, and she would ask me for advice.
Yeah.
And it was an interchangeable kind of relationship in that sense.
Yeah.
That was different. And I don't know if life is meant to, like, like, you're not supposed to have that kind of relationship when you're like 13, right? Because they always talk about how the teenagers are teenagers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right? But I understood my mom more, and I also realized, oh, she got softer. And I think one of the things I've learned is I felt like her softness was that she made decisions about what kind of energy she was gonna give to things.
Yeah.
She might have not said that. She may not have like had a conversation with anybody. It's like, well, it's about the energy. Well, it's about my peace. Like we talk nowadays, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's exactly what she was doing.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm not going to tell my sister this because I'm not going to get into like,
Yeah, the drama.
Yeah.
Or even
I'm
with
gonna
yourself.
avoid it,
Yeah. It's like it's no longer that survival mode, right? Because as a parent, it's your job to protect and make sure that your kid is safe.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that protection feeling can get so big that the intent is to keep them safe, but the impact it has on them is they don't feel heard, they don't feel respected, they don't feel listened to, right? They may not feel loved. And then when they're an adult, they're like, my job is done, right? I can relax. I don't have to keep them safe. I'll always worry about them, but now they have to make their own choices.
Yeah.
And so they're able to sometimes see their kids as human beings now, not this like object that I need to keep safe.
Right.
And I think honestly, that's probably why a lot of teens are rebellious and they act up because they don't feel these things, right? They don't feel respected, they don't feel heard or understood. And of course, there's the hormonal pieces too that play a role. But I think sometimes when we get scared as parents or really anxious, our default turns into that like authority figure, right? We must be strong, we must be tough, we must be the all-knowing for our kids.
Right.
When really they sometimes need that softness.
Right.
That I don't really know what the best choice is, but this is kind of why I've made this decision. I understand you may be frustrated, you may not understand, and I hope you do as an adult, but my job is to keep you safe. And
Yeah.
I know you're not happy with me right now, but I hear you and I understand why you feel the way that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for real. Yeah, for sure. That's yeah. I feel, and I got to tell you, even like with my parents, I can't blame them for how they were, because that's what they also learned,
Yeah.
right? Just exactly what you were talking about. You have to be the authority figure. You have to be in control. This is your household.
Yes.
That kind of stuff,
Yeah. And I think what we were talking about even before this, right? Like sometimes even that can be an excuse for like the later generations. And so like for the older generations, they really didn't know, right? If they had the knowledge, if they had the tools, things probably would be different.
Right.
Not 100%, but it could have been.
Yeah.
Versus now, when you have the tools, when you have the resources and you understand, right? You know that, I don't know, you have anxiety or you have depression, you have OCD, you have ADHD, right? It's great that you understand that, but what are you going to do about it, right? How is it still going to be effective in the ways that you connect with people and also you respect them?
Yeah, that's huge, because so many people suffer from those conditions. And yet I think it's like, I don't know, from the people that I know that have it, or it's almost like the part that what are you going to do is not being done, but rather, oh, this is what I have. Well, this is how I do. But what else can you do? Or how different can you do that, so that you can have a better understanding, a better relationship, so that the people around you also can enjoy having you in their, as part of their
Around.
relationship. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it becomes like, it almost becomes their identity. And it's not a negative thing, right? It can be a piece of your identity, but it can't be your whole identity.
Right.
It's like you're putting yourself in a box. And if you
Right.
only put yourself in a box, only people that belong in that category will fit into that box.
Yeah.
So you're doing a disservice to yourself and to the other people in your life. And it's not to say, right, like if I have anxiety and I'm going to say that, I'm putting in my box with only people who have anxiety. What I'm saying is you're putting yourself in a box with just you and your anxiety, because you're not allowing anyone else to come into your space
Right.
because of how big you've made this anxiety.
Right.
And sometimes it is really, really big, right? But if you're understanding of it, you know what's happening, you're aware of it, that next step is, can I be stronger than my anxiety? Can I be stronger than the fear that holds me back?
Yeah. Because it's not healthy. It's not healthy to do that. I can't remember when it was. I feel like it was recent, a couple of weeks ago. Somebody, family trauma, and I just kind of went off. I'm like, stop with the family trauma. And I know it exists. I know it really, it really hurts people. And yes, it takes a while to, get over some of that. But you can't just blame every, decision you make on family trauma. You can't, blame every feeling that you're having on that. You need to be ahead of it,
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you need to conquer it. Like,
Yeah.
get the...
And I would almost say that's kind of like your, maybe your protective piece,
Yeah.
right? For them, it's very much like their protective piece is like, this is family trauma, right? So I have to hold on to this, because if I make connections, maybe they will do to me what my family has done.
Yes.
Versus you're like, no, right? This protective piece of like, I almost need to like show you, right? That this is the way that you can get better, that you can get help, that you can be the most amazing version of yourself. Right. And so then both of your protective pieces are battling each other.
Yes.
And trying to be heard, right?
Yes.
It's like, let me help you. I can help you feel better. This is the things that you need to do. No, I don't want help, right?
Yeah.
I need this. It keeps me safe. And you're like, no, true safety is this. And it's like, no, this is the real safety. And what you're both trying to get at is both of you don't feel heard.
Yeah.
You don't feel understood.
Yeah.
But again, right, can you build that middle ground?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Exhausting.
It is exhausting.
But relationships are exhausting. We always say that as guess like a joke or something like that, but that's the reason why they're exhausting.
Yeah.
Because we're all going in different directions, and we all want to be understood. At the end of it all, we all want to be understood. We want to be respected, right? We don't, I don't enjoy, I know I don't enjoy when somebody disrespects me. But we do have to be patient with each other.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
We do.
Yeah.
And that's how we build community, which I know community is such a big buzzword.
Yeah.
And I think, we're talking about it, like, what is community? And it's exactly what you said, right? It's not, relationships are not always fun. Sometimes they're really hard.
Yeah.
And it's putting in that work, that ability to repair, that really makes a connection. And that's how you build community.
Yeah.
You're constantly showing up for each other. You're talking, you're having conversations, you're making decisions together. And it may not even be that you see the person all the time, right? But how do you check in otherwise? Because I always hear like the whole, like, I'm really busy, I'm really busy, I'm really busy. And I get it, right?
Right.
I'm busy too, right? I have my business, I have my daughter, I have my family. I get it. But when I'm trying to make connections with people, I try to find a way the best I can, right? Maybe it's, I went to this coffee shop and I thought of you, right? I'm sending a voice note like, hey, how's your day? I may not be able to respond after this, but I wanted to know that I'm thinking about you and, like, how are things going? Send it back to me. I may not be able to respond right away, but I will get back to you.
Right.
Or I'm sending an email, a text, whatever the case may be. And that's how we build community, because we're too big now, right? There's social media, there's traveling, we're spread all over. It's too big to always be with the same people all the time. So how can you maintain that system? How can you maintain the living system of your relationships and still maintain that community?
Yeah. It's a lot, but it can be done.
Yes, it can.
It can be done because, just what you just talked about. I did that a couple of days ago to somebody who I hadn't heard from like a couple of weeks. We went out like to catch like some dinner and whatnot. So I was just like, you know what? Let me just send a text.
Yeah.
Hey, just thinking of you. Hope everything's going well.
Yes.
Let me know how you're doing.
Absolutely.
Like that's it. And I knew no expectations of, oh, like I'm looking at my phone. Is this, she's going to respond now? She's going to respond now?
Yes.
No, I was like, she'll respond when she can. And, it was a day later. So it's like, oh, I'm good. How are you? So busy with this happening at work. And I'm like, yep, totally get it. I know what you do. So,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff, But yeah, connecting with people and building that community. Like for me, part of this podcast world is building a community of people who are stepping in just like you are, just like everybody else. No, we're not gonna be texting each other after this all the time, but we'll see each other at events. You're the owner of the Cozy Corner Counseling, and you guys do activities.
Yeah.
So I sign up sometimes for those activities.
You do.
So I know, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna connect. Yeah, sometimes I may not want to be the activity. I'm like, I'm just gonna go and hang out,
Yeah, exactly.
And so, it's like little things like that. And I think sometimes, life is happening so fast. And I keep saying that I feel like life is so fast.
Yes, it's so fast.
And unless you actually take the steps to be able to step back and say, you know what, I need to make contact with somebody, besides my wife, besides my children, besides, my husband, or I need to have a friend.
Yes, a friend. Yeah.
I need to, go out and do something, even if it's once a month or once every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think people kind of lack that sometimes. They lack it because they get into this hustle and bustle, and then they're afraid to steer away because then they think, well, no, then my personal stuff isn't going to get done if I take, 3 hours.
They'll lose momentum.
Yeah.
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 But, you bring up a good point. That's where the request can come in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, I'm really vibing with you. I would like to be more consistent with our hangouts, right?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you? What can we reasonably come to an agreement on?
Yeah. I'm big on hey, let's do coffee. Hey, let's meet up, for something, for coffee, for brunch, for lunch, knowing that everybody's busy, and so, I've been fortunate that I can, recently, the people that I do ask, I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Some are like, well, it's going to have to be like a month from now. I'm like, okay.
That's like
you know.
me. Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's put it on the calendar. Just
Absolutely.
like, let me know, you know.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, one thing I learned is like, I'm not going to sit at home
Yes.
waiting for that one
Yes.
connection, right? To like
To come through.
yes, because life is happening. So I move on. Hey, to the next one. Hey, what are you
Yes.
doing?
Yeah.
You know.
And people can't take it personal one
Right.
way or the other. You
Right.
have to be willing to go with the waves.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like that's something I learned because I was the person that I would wait.
Oh.
Like I would kind of like, oh, okay, well, they said it was almost like a kid, right? You offer
Yeah.
them candy and then they're like, where's the candy? Where's the candy? You know, but it was almost like, because in my mind, it's well, they said, and I
Yeah.
believed what they said. And then, you know, I had to like almost like, no, wake up, Addie. Like there's life happening. There's so
Yeah.
many things going on, including you. You know, sometimes I say, yeah, I'll be there. And I'm like, oh, why did I commit to that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm tired. I don't want to do that. You know?
That part's big, including yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like there is a lot of things going on, but also you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing I learned. It's like, no, it's me time. And me time may be like, I'm just going to put my feet up
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I don't know, stay in the living room in silence. Just that, just silence.
Yeah.
And that to me may be self-care that week. You know, because I'm like, I'm tired. I'm tired of being out. I'm tired of creating content.
Yeah.
You know,
I
I'm
need
like,
just downtime.
yeah. When's the next buzz? I need a minute to breathe.
Yeah.
You know, you can't make every event. That's another thing. You know,
No, you can't.
You know, everybody like, hey, you want to come here? Hey, what about here? I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll sign up for that. But then I'm like, you know what? You also have to learn how to say, cut your losses and be like, yeah, today's a nice day and it's super sunny and I know I should take advantage of it, but I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired and my body needs rest.
And that's enough reason in itself.
Yeah. Yeah. This is great stuff, man.
It is good stuff. We're a good team.
This is great stuff. I just hope, like, you know, when I asked you to come on the podcast, I was just like, I feel like a lot of people get some of these terminologies, some of these things confused. I think a lot of people also don't want to do therapy because they don't want their families to know.
Yeah.
Right? Or because, you know, somebody, you know, I mean, and I've seen this, you know, they'll be like, oh, you're crazy now. Like, you know, and use like really harsh words like that. And so in their minds, you know, that's trauma. They could start believing that,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm not right. I'm broken. I need help, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I just hope that anybody who's listening, anybody who's watching this at some point, like, you know, take some of these pointers and realize you're not alone in this.
Yeah, you're not. And I mean, I know we were talking about the healing journey, but sometimes therapy doesn't even have to be about healing, right? You may already be in your process of healing and it may look differently, right? Like, I want to be more effective at work, right? I want to be more present at home with my family. I don't know. I want to go on a vacation and I don't know how to plan that, right? It doesn't always have to go into the deep stuff.
Yeah.
Because even the day-to-day, the present stuff, there's something happening.
Yeah.
And that we can work on, right? And we can kind of connect the beliefs with it. But I mean, I've had a range of clients come into my office, right? I've worked with kids, I've worked with adults, I've worked with entrepreneurs, CEOs have come into my space, right, to work with me. And they're all from different walks of life, financial situations, and all of them, for the most part, sometimes come in with the same thing, right? I feel like I'm not present enough. I feel like I can't make these connections. I need friends, right? I may feel lonely. And sometimes that's the overlapping piece. Versus sometimes I'll have someone that's like, nope, friendships are great, family's great, everything's good. I just need help with like really being present. I need to be focused. I want to work on this, and this is exactly where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, okay, I'm glad that this is where you want to be. Let's see if I can help you to your next step that you want to go to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because that could, all of that kind of stuff could be work related too. Yeah.
Yeah, work related, family related. I think relationships and connections touch on everything. So everything that you touch, you're connecting with someone. So usually I'll start there in terms of like attachment styles and things like that. But afterwards, we kind of go into like what's the nitty gritty, depending. If you're in your healing journey, then we sometimes go back to childhood.
Yeah. 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 True. And you mentioned like sometimes like you're in different phases, right? Of healing.
Yeah.
And going to therapy means that may be the step to say, well, I'm healing, so part of healing has to be therapy. I need that. I need that
Yeah.
interaction. I need to try this. Maybe I've never tried it before, and
Yeah.
I need to see how that's gonna change me or what I'm gonna learn from it.
Yeah, and I think people get stuck in their head, right? If they go to therapy, that they couldn't do it themselves. And there's a lot of belief of, when someone has grown up having to do things on their own, or at least feel that way, therapy can be really scary because you're kind of putting your trust in someone else, a stranger. And when that happens, right, it's like, no, I can't go to therapy. Like, I've got it. I'll figure it out, right? I'll read all the self-help books. I will listen to all the podcasts, the music videos. I'll like read everything that I need to under the sun. I'll talk to so-and-so and I'll figure it out. And that's wonderful. It's a great tool. But when you've gotten to that point and you still can't break that pattern,
Right.
that's where therapy is a tool, right? It's not a reason to change you, it's actually a tool to use. And I think sometimes people make that mistake of thinking if I go to therapy, I'm weak. And it's like we need a tool for everything, right? Like a cup of coffee, I can't just make coffee right off the gate, right?
Right.
I need something to grind the coffee beans. I need water, right? I need something to put my coffee into. Those are all tools to make a successful cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And the same thing with us. We just need tools. And sometimes therapy is that tool.
Yeah.
And some therapists have different beliefs, right? I'm of the essence of like, I don't want you to be in my office forever. Not that I don't love you, right? I like seeing your face. I think you're funny. All of my clients, like, I think they're all comedians. They could definitely be in a comedy show. They're like super funny. But if my goal was to keep them in my office forever, I'm not really doing my work.
Yeah.
Right? My goal is like, I hope I don't ever see you again. But if I do, right, I know that I've set you up with enough tools that now you're out of tools and you need some more.
Yeah.
But I hope that people don't feel like therapy is scary or like something that's supposed to trap them.
Right.
Or make them feel less empowered, because that's really not what therapy's for. Therapy's for you get the tools that you need and now you feel more confident and successful that you can handle life.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you need to ask for help, that's okay too.
Yeah. And I think it's important to ask for help for the professional people.
Yeah.
Not ask for help from other people who have different experiences and they're just going to give you their take on it or how it worked for them, right? Because this is not a cookie cutter method. So
Yeah.
So I always for example, I always used to tell the kids in higher ed, if you're trying to get into the nursing program, you have to come to the admissions office and ask, what are the requirements to get into that program? What is it that you need?
Yeah.
Because every other person is going to tell you something different. Your classmates will tell you, each of them will tell you different things based on the grades that they've gotten,
Yes.
based how often they've repeated classes, based on their experience.
Yes.
And so you
knowledge
always
is power.
come to the source where you're able to like get that information so that you can move forward in your journey.
Yes, that's super important.
Yeah.
I'm glad you actually point that out, because people do say that, right? Like, I've talked with all my friends, I've done all these things, and I still don't know what to do.
Right.
And you're right. You need to go to the source. Knowledge is power, and that's where you kind of find the strength. And it's not to say that therapists are maybe the source of mental health, but we have a lot of training in it. I had to obviously finish high school, then do 4 years of my bachelor's degree, then 2 years of my master's program, and then 2 years after that under supervision to get licensed and be independent. So what is that? That's 8 years. Minimum. That's the minimum requirement.
Yeah,
right?
that's not adding the additional certifications that you're getting in different fields.
the certifications
Yeah.
that come with it, if timelines have changed or shifted, right? If you are doing a different type of program, sometimes it's longer. So the minimum of 8 years, we are clinically trained to learn about psychology and people, and then go into office spaces, and we are using that, right? When we have a conversation with people, we're not just having a talking conversation. I'm noticing your patterns. I'm noticing things that repeat, right? I'm noticing the ways that I say something. If I give you a compliment,
Yeah.
do you accept it? Or do you kind of like close off and look really shy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Body language.
Yeah, body language. How do you respond to things? If I disagree with you on something, do you automatically agree with me or do you challenge me a little bit? If you're able to challenge me, right, I know we've built some trust that you feel comfortable enough to challenge me on that. If you're always agreeing with me, then I know that we have more work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. And I think it's important also to point out that, because, I've heard in the past people say, oh, I tried therapy and it didn't work for me.
Yes.
Right? I tried it. Oh my God. It was like painful, but not in a good way,
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's almost like riding a bike. Sometimes you don't get the right bicycle that fits your frame. And it's like, hey, yeah, I was riding this bike, but I can't really reach the floor because it's too
Yes.
big for me. So in the sense that sometimes you have to, go out there and try
Yes.
different therapists, because everybody, oh, even therapists are different.
Absolutely. And I think it's a green flag if your therapist sees a therapist, right?
Yeah.
Because they're obviously getting that training. I love the bike analogy, and it's true. From personal experiences, it took me 3 therapists to find my first therapist. And I say my first because I've had other therapists, because sometimes you do end up getting to this journey with your therapist where you've come as far as you can. Right. So, like, my first one, he was amazing and he helped me learn boundaries, right, and communication, and how to have healthy conflicts. And then when I got pregnant with my daughter, we were kind of like, look, like, this isn't my specialty. I think you
Yeah.
need someone who specializes in working with women that are struggling with pregnancy or postpartum.
See, but that's a good
Yeah.
therapist, right?
It is a good therapist.
Yes. So the need and say, I don't have that specialty.
Yeah, it's not in my toolbox,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because even therapists, we run out of toolbox, like,
Yeah.
tools eventually, and
Yeah.
we're like, this is as far as I can take you in this journey.
Yeah. 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 So it's like, don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up.
Don't give up, because it may take you 2 or 3 times before you can get the right one. Don't give up. And that's kind of like, I always use, because I come from higher ed, I always use, I used to tell students, like, when you have that first day of class,
Yeah.
like, and you don't understand something, don't give up. Go to the learning center, go sign up for
Yeah.
like tutoring, because it's better if you start that tutoring right away than let, your fears and everything else
Yeah.
pile up. And halfway through the semester, all of a sudden you see the light, and I'm like, well, guess what? That D is going to be super hard to now,
To turn around.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is awesome.
Yeah, this is really great.
Yeah. I like this. I like this. So any other advice you have for folks?
Any advice? I think my only thing is just to remember, right, when we're thinking about healthy relationships, friendships, connections, whatever the case may be, is that it's rooted in being able to connect without losing yourself. And so that's the most important question to ask, right? When I'm going into this connection, can I be confident in myself? Can I stay strong with myself? And if the answer is no, that's okay, but explore it. And from there, you can make your decision. Because if you're not feeling confident, maybe it's not a healthy relationship,
Right.
or maybe it's touching on something that you didn't know was there.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
So listen, I have these cards. So
Okay.
a friend of mine who's a counselor gave them to me.
Ooh.
And it's kind of like a daily like mindfulness of stuff. And I thought,
Okay.
let's pull them out and like grab one.
I would love to.
Right. And see what it says. So basically it's like, it has a like a statement in the front, but then in the back it has an action.
Okay.
And so since you're the expert,
Okay.
pick one. You can shuffle them around. You can take them from the bottom. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I just thought this is something like some people use in groups and things of that nature.
Do you want me to read out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says, mindfulness is a pause, the space between stimulus and response. That's where choice lies, by Tara Brach. And the action, it says, is train yourself to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. We're just talking about this. If you are feeling emotional, take a time out until you have calmed down before responding. That might be a boundary.
See? There you go. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I've often practiced that, believe it or not. Not in, those terms, but sometimes you just can't react. Like, for example, even when I used to teach, I would, some students could be harsh and say some harsh things, and I would teach online, so all this stuff is like written down, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I as the instructor would take a minute. Take a minute back, and I'm like, let me analyze this first before I respond to this student.
Yeah, let me get curious, right?
Yeah. Because they may have a certain experience based on whether they were in Iraq, whether they were a soldier, and they're not feeling very friendly towards other cultures.
Yes.
And things of that nature. So it's like I have to see how they're looking at this situation before I just like shut it down or come at this person. Absolutely. And kind of say, sometimes we just have to, we're not going to agree on everything, but we have to have this level of respect.
Yes.
That you don't have to agree, but we also don't have to treat people poorly in doing so.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. So it's like, little things in life that I learned. But
thank you for sharing. Yeah. I love this.
So this has been great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're good.
All right.
I think we're good. So guys, until next time.
Until next time.
Yeah. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
This is Attitude. We're signing off now. Peace and love to my whole podcast.